Welcome,
Miss
welcome,
Corianne.
everyone. I love a
We got a
party,
full
and
house.
there's no better week for a party, no joke. Welcome, everybody. You are on Ask an Agent Anything. Thanks for carving out some time on your Tuesday for the conversation of business life. Really, we mean everything when we say anything comes up in this conversation. Renee and I would be on the phone with each other every week, even if we didn't bring it to you guys, but we prefer the conversation get bigger, as you can tell by the many faces here on the screen. Again, I'm Corianne Wright. I am a licensed realtor here in Colorado. I also invest in land and properties here. Hit me up if you need anything. And I'm with my absolute beautiful co-host, Renee. Renee, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. I'm very casual today, and you guys probably recognize that the background is different. So I am not taking time off because here we are the week of the 4th of July. It's going to be interesting to see who shows up, but I have a feeling there's going to be the tried and true. So I am in the great state of New Jersey, and I'm in New York, New Jersey right now. So the background's different, but I'm committed to this conversation. And as Corianne said, we'd be talking no matter what. You and I love to kind of just kibitz and figure out what's working, what's not working. And of course, I also am a licensed agent. I've been so for almost 19 years. Oh my God, wait a minute. July 5th, it'll be 19 years. It's
3 days.
As I always say, aging backwards. So I have been doing this crazy game for a while now. And mostly have always worked in California. I'm licensed in California and mostly worked with investors. And one of the things that I noticed about the agent community, and Corianne, you can attest to this, is that our beautiful brokers want us to do well. They want us to get educated and supported. But one of the things that kind of gets kicked to the curb is the investor conversation, right? The running joke from one of my mentors used to say, if a real estate agent died tomorrow and keeled over, everybody would be running towards them, trying to catch their leads and saying, hey, I want all your leads. So it's like, what is our exit strategy? What are we doing all this for? We're out here really to build wealth. So that is part of what Ask an Agent Anything is about. And this topic today is a little intense. So listen closely, get out your pens and pencils. But before we get into the subject matter, let's introduce everybody. So we got a full house. We have Richard, we have Mitch, and we have Oscar. And you guys are all partners in California, correct? Amazing.
Yes, partners.
Yeah, I'm going to let you kick it off.
Call it, ride or dies, baby, ride or dies. That's who you are, ride or dies, baby.
I love that. Does one of you want to just kind of summarize, how you got together, what had you get into real estate / the investor side of real estate? Because remember, a lot of people that might be listening are more agents, right? So we don't get really educated on this side of things. And we're going to talk about something very, very niche. So please share with us, Richard, just who you are, Mitch and Oscar, kind of who you are. And then one of you say, how did you all become, I'm assuming partners. So I don't know if you're just partnering or if you're direct partners and you split everything. Mm-hmm. It's interesting also how that works. So please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First of all, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. We love being on podcasts. And Renee, we've known each other for quite a while now, maybe I think about 4 years now, I think it was, so I appreciate you for having us. We're very happy to be here. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Richard Knowles. I've been in real estate since 2018. I come from an engineering background. I have very strict parents, who are Jamaican. Jamaican parents can be very strict. So they had me go through college, grad school, all that kind of stuff. And I had some great jobs, ESPN, Disney, Twitter, and I'm able to apply my software engineering skills to real estate. So why did I join real estate in 2018? Is because I want to build long-term wealth for my family, right? So 2018, I started, doing private money lending, did some partnership with Airbnb hosts, and then kind of shifted into creative finance after COVID hit. When COVID hit, Airbnb, of course, took a hit. So that's my introduction or my way of getting to real estate, creative finance, due to Airbnb failing, right? So that leads me to meeting Mitch and Oscar. I joined Pace Movie's Sub 2 program, which is creative finance mentorship program. And Mitch and I were one of the first 100 people to join that mentorship back in May of 2020. And we've been mentored, very well by Pace Movie. He's a great teacher, very good educator. And, we've been blessed to have done a lot of creative deals since then. And Rich and I are now the one of three or two or three regional leaders for Southern California for Sub 2. So we're here to help people get their first, second, third creative finance deal. And we love helping people. That's our passion. It's very fulfilling for us to help people, agents, wholesalers, TCs, you name it. That's our fulfilling passion, helping people, right? So we're happy to be here. We specialize in creative finance. Right now, we focus on creative finance, assisted living, group homes. We also help people JV with others on underwriting, acquisition, dispositions, more specifically in creative finance. So that's kind of who we are. We're also featured in Pace Moby's book on page 150 if you guys want to check it out. So that's a little bit about me.
I have that book like right here. That's awesome.
You're memorialized. I love that. That's brilliant.
That's amazing. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Mitch. So that's a little about me.
Yes.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. And thank you, Corianne, for the opportunity. Grateful. I've been a full-time investor for, I guess, 23 years now. Background in single and multifamily development, ground up construction, fix and flips, cash flow, rentals. And as of the last 4 years, I've been doing creative finance and I've been in the mentorship. Prior to real estate, I spent 15 years as a management consultant, flying around, re-engineering companies and using those skills in what we're doing now. Rich and I met, like you said, 4 years ago when the mentorship started. We were both in California and he saw me on a video and said, "Hey, you're pretty good at talking to people. You want to come talk to a seller?" And it's been history since. So we've been doing that and brought Oscar on. And our organization is really growing. We're doing some amazing things we never really thought of, getting into assisted living and development projects. And as Rich said, I think this is something we all share together, is that we love to help and to give back. It's a passion of all of us to teach and bring others along. And it's part of our role as leaders in the mentorship. And so we're on a lot of these types of podcasts and reviews and happy to work with people. And since we have a realtor-based audience, and I think that's important to realize, because a lot of times realtors and investors do this. Realtors don't trust investors. Investors don't trust realtors. We like to build bridges between what we do and realtors do and explain what we do in very simple terms. And our approach, and this is one of the things I love about working with Richard and Oscar, we have the same mindset and philosophy in that we just like to put our cards on the table. We're very transparent about who we are and what we do and how we do it. And oftentimes we'll tell sellers, we might not be the best resource for you, but you should think of step 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're here to help. So we love working with realtors, and we believe there's a lot of opportunity to build additional bridges between realtors and investors like ourselves. And so we thank you for this opportunity. And so I'm going to turn it over to Oscar right now.
I don't know how to follow that up. I don't know how to follow NASA, ESPN, or 23 years, So look, or Renee with the Benjamin Button, not aging. I see you.
Skills.
All right. So a little bit about me. My name's Oscar. I was in the military for 8 years. I was in the healthcare side. I deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan. I've also practiced medicine in the oncology ward and in the ICU ward down in San Diego. After I got out of the military, I went back to college, got my degree, did that. But I've always wanted to get in real estate. I just never knew how, never knew how. And then one day I just came upon my friend, who I think you might know. Her name is Berryman. Brittany Berryman.
Brittany.
I know. Yeah, Brittany. And I heard her on the phone, and then she just started telling me about wholesaling and what it was. And then she was like, "Dude, get on go check out this podcast, listen to them, see what you think." And then that's when I came across Jamil, Pace, and then I really just gravitated towards Pace. And then I was like, "Okay, I'm doing it." It was that simple. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." So then I paid for the mentorship. I started calling people, doing that on my own, started going to events. Then that's when I met Richard. And we just had so many similarities, so many coincidences. Our boys, they're both named Cam, right? They're only a month apart.
What?
We both, yes, we both live 10 minutes away from one another. So there is, and we get along. We're super chill. We vibe very well. So it was just like when he asked me if I wanted to be a part of his team, I was like, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. So I was like, yes, let's go. Let's do it. And I've been blessed. I have to say, I came from not knowing anything about real estate to now being pushed by Richard and Mitch to know what I know now and be in the position that I am now because I took that leap and I had two great people to push me. And now I'm a licensed assisted living operator here in California.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Oh gosh. So you really all truly are brothers from another, which is beautiful. And then, partnerships have been known to blow up, like marriages. They're kind of like a marriage, they're your work colleagues, work husbands, work wives, and so that's the running joke, right? But it's true because there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of attentiveness. And so when at least it starts out that, there's something there that makes sense and that you can collaborate on and with, it just feels right. And that kind of alleviates like some of the oddballness, of trying to find your people. So I just look forward to you guys just growing. And, 3 is not a crowd. Maybe you'll grow and scale more, but at least you all found each other. Because I know you, Richard, you and Mitch have been together for some time. And now Oscar, it seems like you're slid right in there. So that's perfect. Corianne, look at this. We got a whole bunch of boys that know stuff. I'd say, a couple things that you said is that you all had other careers and that you were looking to real estate as not a fallback, but that you are stepping into real estate. And I assert that it's because of the exit strategy that real estate can bring you, which is loosely said financial security. So has that been something that it has come to fruition for you all or not yet, or you're starting out? I mean, I assert offer, you're kind of ish at this. So maybe you haven't bought up a bunch of stuff and, your expenses are being covered and things like that, but you feel like you're on your way. This is a wheelhouse that if somebody was listening that said, maybe I'm not ready to jump off of my career, but how can I actually bring this in? So this might be for a listener who's a little bit wanting to be an investor or an armchair investor and listening to what you guys do, which we'll get into. I know Richard said creative, and that's some lingo and some stuff that people aren't going to really know, but we'll break it down for you. So the fact that you chose this versus say becoming a real estate agent or doing say fix and flips, let's just concentrate on the creative component of it because this is where, you guys shine more, even if you've done flips. Let's just keep it at that. So, oh, that's beautiful. So yeah, I mean, how is it going? Like, so now you've introduced yourself. Richard and Mitch has been in this for a minute. Oscar, you're like stepping into it with a very specific niche. How's it going?
You know what? It's going well. Like I said, I feel like I've been catapulted because like I mentioned, like I came from not knowing anything, right? And I've been doing it, I want to say 2.5 years in total, not knowing from point A to where I am now. But it's like I reminisce and I think back to the person I used to be, and I've like grown tremendously in ways that I never thought I would grow. And it's been so fruitful. It's been, and not just in like a monetary way, but just in my self-confidence and what I envision myself being and doing, next year. But yeah, this was and is the best decision that I've ever made for myself. And I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I didn't overthink it or overanalyze. And I just did it. And, you just got to believe and have faith. You got to believe, have faith, and put yourself in the right rooms and just touch elbows with the right people, and you do that long enough and it's going to happen. But you just got to have faith and you have to put that effort first because no one's going to put it for you,
I love that you're saying that, because really that's the foundation of what we all have in common. No matter where our stories started, we recognized we needed a community to get further, faster together. And we signed on to one to make that happen. And I'm so interested. I mean, first and foremost, I think to our audience, we talk about this all the time. Find your people, find your community, because real estate is a up and down game. That could be day to day, that could be week to week, that could be hour to hour. So you need your people really there to support you. And so it's so great to have your whole team here to see some of that rapport that you guys have and that you move throughout the day as a unit. And I think one of the big things that I'm curious about, especially Richard, for you being here since the ground floor of Sub 2, which is hard to say. That's a really large community that's been around for quite a while and is only continuing to grow. And it has a lot of knowledge in there that can go a lot of different directions. So I feel like you could give us some advice, whether you're in a community or you're not, on what are you seeing in terms of people being able to decide and actually take actions moving forward when you're given a lot of opportunity. Oscar obviously did just like that. He decided what community he was going to be on. He plugged into an awesome team, and now he's kicking butt and taking names. So if you could just speak to, what advice would you give somebody who has all of this opportunity in every different direction in real estate? How do you really narrow focus and move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, it's been very challenging for me as a substitute student joining, because there's so much content and so many different Zooms, so many different niches. They talk about creative finance, of course. They talk about how to succeed in multifamily, how to become a private money lender, how to succeed in short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, pad split. There's so many different ways to get into real estate, right? Become a realtor as well, or TC. And Sub 2, the mentorship teaches all of those things, right, in one place, right? So, of course, you're going to get shiny object syndrome, right? You're seeing all these different things. Oh, I can make money here. Oh, I can make money there. Oh, that looks easy. That looks cool. So that was a big challenge for me. I joke around and tell people I had stage 4 shiny object syndrome. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was. It was really bad. So what I tell people now, my advice to you is focus on 1 or 2 things at a time and just stick with it for a longer period of time. And just, give it a chance to grow and scale before you give up or look at the next shiny object, right? But also try to network with people who are in that same, who have that same goal that you have, right? Or experience in that field. So for example, if it's Airbnb, find some super hosts in your area, in the backyard, and network with them, see how they've gotten to where they are, and just try to build some relationships with people in that field. So that's my biggest advice. And also take action, right? Take action. A lot of people tend to watch YouTube all day long, watch Zooms all day long, and get a lot of information and tend to get analysis paralysis, just get stuck just trying to be perfect, be perfectionist, and trying to learn everything step 1 through 100 before even taking step 1, 2, and 3. Right? So my biggest advice is, just take action. Network with people who are in the same field that you're in or want to consider. And lastly, be consistent and take action. Don't try to take action or learn all the steps, but actually just go through the process, take baby steps, and have someone hold your hand through the future steps. So that's my biggest advice to people just starting out.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's interesting that you're saying that, Richard, because I think it's a human nature, right? We have FOMO, fear of missing out. And it's like, oh, look at what this person's doing. Look at what that person's doing. And, here in LA, because we all basically live in Southern California, LA area, is I jokingly say with the entertainment industry, it's camera ready. And so sometimes with these real estate shows, which primarily focus on either flips or real estate agents, that they make it look easy. And they, of course, highlight the benefit, right? Oh, my God, look at these 6-figure commissions on a $40 million house or whatever. And jokingly in the real estate world, right, because like I said, I'm a licensed agent, we even call that the thin air. There's only so much room for so many people that are going to be in that sphere. There's probably always room, but there's only so much room. So, don't kid yourself for the listeners. It's like there really is a lot of hard work and persistence to start at the bottom. And by the way, like even some of those guys that are on those shows, I've done deals with them or I know them in passing. And even though they're at where they're at today, the two British guys on I forget $1 Million Listing, I think they will talk about the door knocking that they did. They actually put on their Prada suits and their fancy shoes, which are not door knocking shoes. Okay, you want to have like sneakers on and literally walk the hills of Bel Air and door knocked, and that's a big part of how they got their career going. But there's other people, the Josh Altmans of the world, they door knocked. They would roll up on dirty, filthy houses, just happen to be in the flats of Beverly Hills, and did their thing. And so they don't really make it like the message, because for them it was so long ago and now they've built their career up. But they will, if you get them talking, they will attest to that's where they started. Like nobody comes away unscathed in real estate. Maybe, just maybe, if you join a team that's really plugged in, okay, but still you're going to start in the mailroom, you're going to start at the bottom. Or maybe, just maybe, if you're fortunate enough that a family, like you're in a family business. But even then, I assert that if dad, brother, uncle, whatever started it, 30 years ago, that you still need to have had to have come in at some point and started on the phones or started in the mailroom. As I say, everybody starts at the bottom. And there's one thing about real estate is, in my opinion, nobody gets away from doing that work, because that's really where your tried and true is built. You simply cannot and will not step into like a finished product. It doesn't work that way. So I say, as you're listening to the panel today, that remember, if you feel overwhelmed or you want to pass go or you think you're better than, humbly just see where your process is and know that it takes something to contribute and hit your wagon to the wheel. If what Richard and Mitch and Oscar are talking about, and that's what you want to join, or some of the other mentor groups like Pace and Jamil, and we can talk a little bit more about that, and the sub 2 community or the astro flipping community. That why I'm saying what I'm saying is I see it more and more with younger people. I'm at the point where, I could have adult children at this point. It's so weird. Like Mitch and I are probably closer in age. And you guys grew up with all this technology. And sometimes in certain things like Amazon fulfillment or whatever, you don't have to talk to people. You're just fulfilling things. But the real estate business is still a people business. Maybe when I'm an old lady, we'll talk to computers. I don't know. But for today, if you want to get in, sharpen your people skills, be humble enough to hit your wagon to the wheel, join a mentorship. Don't try to hang your, license out on the shingle with your name on it. You'll get there. There's plenty of room. So please heed that call, because this group right now is going to talk about a lot of very specific things. And if it goes over your head, it may be that it is actually meant for you, but humble yourself that you may want to give these guys a call and say, hey, I'm ready to intern, or, what can I do to support you to learn this craft? Because it just doesn't work like other businesses work. Thank you.
Per usual, I'm going to give the other side of the coin, because I do think it's something for our audience to be aware of, that you've got to know what season you're in. If you're in your young 20s, try it all. Why not? Try one flip, try one land purchase, try one sub 2, see what you like. But then there's also a time to turn into depth over breadth and saying, hey, this is something I'm going to specialize in. This is something I'm going to get good at, and I'm going to make my money here. End complete business, move to next potential strategy. And I think a lot of people, have that FOMO that says, well, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, when they have already experienced and experimented within those, and know that they have probably an 80%, 20% split in terms of what they're really good at. Find the 20% that you're really good at, lean into that, and then find the people to support you that are good at the other 80%. And that's something Renee and I do. I mean, there's a reason we both are on this podcast, is because on times where I'm at 20%, I'm like, hey, you're at the 80, right? And vice versa. So I think that's just a good reminder to our audience. But I just want to pick it up from there. After you guys all met, as you're moving forward in your business, what is your specialties? What does a day look like in your business, and what are you all focused on?
Mitch, you want to go?
Sure. We all have particular skills. I would say my skill, and we talked about this, real estate more so than other businesses is a people business. Every business decision is a people decision. One of my skills is building immediate rapport with sellers and agents and building that relationship. I also love underwriting. I love I tell Rich and Oscar this, I like the scary, hairy deals that the very complex ones that are scary. Those are very calming to me. So I like coming up with problems, problem solving actually, and finding problems and coming up with creative solutions that are win-win to everyone else. And then marketing. My background is in marketing and systems and that type of stuff. So that would be my particular skill set.
Beautiful.
I caught the creative energy. The aura was coming. I could feel it. So that's good to know. Often I don't see people that are both the social side and the underwriting side. For me, my business partner and I are the exact opposite. Like I'm the social, rapport building quickly side, and I'm like, please underwrite this and tell me what number. I hate
I mean,
that.
it's pretty straightforward because really when we're talking to sellers, we're really learning about what are you trying to achieve, Renee? What are you trying to achieve, Corianne? What problems are you dealing with? What issues are you dealing with? And then our job is to put it all on the table and then come up with 1, 2, 3 different options that solve the problem in a manner that's a win for you, the realtor, ourselves, and everyone involved. And that's what we love doing. That's a successful situation for us.
That's brilliant. And that's a soft skill, right? So you've been on the planet for a minute, you've learned your people skills to a degree. And it's really getting out of, I always say this, right? Like it's getting out of yourself, because people live out here. People actually live out here. They don't live in here. And very often we're waiting for somebody to stop talking so that we can answer. But the truth is, if you're out there and you're listening for what people want to talk about, it's brilliant. It's everyone's favorite subject is themselves. And so if you just listen in between the lines, ask open-ended questions, for the most part, you're going to get your answers. And that's going to be your, Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs, right, to the solution. So basically, it's a skill, and I make it sound easy, right? Mitch, you and I've probably worked on that. I'm sure it's a never-ending quest to get to be out there with other people. So, we had you guys on because you do have your niches, and will one of you, maybe Richard, I don't know, or Mitch, just because you have been at this a little bit longer, but you used a little bit of lingo-ish. You said sub 2 and creative. Let's bring it back a little bit to kindergarten, because a lot of this is going to live on the internet, and a lot of people, especially real estate agents, have no clue what that is, or in different states, they call it different things, or there's a cousin to it, like assumable, those things like that, assumable loans. I'm not saying that's exactly it. We don't have to go down a rabbit hole. But share with us so that if any other time in the next 30 minutes that you guys say sub 2 or creative, people can really follow what you're saying. What is that? And then talk about the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So creative finance essentially is a way of solving problems. Essentially, it's really what it is. Outside of going the traditional route of take out a loan to buy a property or cash to buy a property, right? That's the way most real estate agents understand how a transaction works, right? But with creative finance, basically we are able, for example, creative finance has maybe 8, 9, 10 different ways to acquire property. And one of those ways is subject to. So I hear people say sub 2, which is short for subject to. It's also the name of a mentorship owned by Pace Morby, our mentor as well. So subject to basically means that if you're buying a property and instead of taking a loan to buy the property or cash to buy the property, if there's a mortgage in place, you're leaving that mortgage in place and you're making payments towards that mortgage, leaving the mortgage in the seller's name, and buying the property and paying the seller the equity on the property over a period of time, or maybe you might pay it up front, right? So if you're paying equity over time, then it becomes more of a hybrid between subject to and seller finance. So if I give a quick example, let's say you have a property that's worth $100K in current condition, and there's a mortgage for $40,000. So that means there's a $60K in equity on that property. It's worth $100K, mortgage $40K. And let's say I'm a wholesaler and I want to get this property under contract, and I get under contract for $60K, which is a $40K spread because it's worth $100K, and I get under contract with the seller for $60K. So $60K, the seller will get $20K in the pocket on a traditional sale or cash offer, right? $20K in the pocket, right? But let's say as a wholesaler, I want to assign it to a buyer at $75K. So that's a great deal for a buyer because they're getting $25K discount on this property, right? So instead of a buyer having to take out a hard money loan or take out cash for $75,000 to buy the property, which is going to be high interest rates, it's going to be points, it's going to be credit checks, all that kind of stuff, right? So instead of them take out a loan for $75,000, they can take out a loan for or use private money for only the mortgage of $40K and the buying for $75K, so that's $35K. Right? So they'll take out a loan or private money for $35K instead of the entire $75,000. Right? So the interest that they're paying on that $35,000 is a lot less than paying interest on $35,000. Right? So they're saving a lot more money, and they also have to do credit checks and like that. Right? So it's a great advantage for the seller because they might get a better offer than if it was a cash deal, right? A buyer would say, "Oh no, that's just too much money. Hard money at that price is too much. Let's leave the mortgage in place. I'll put more money in the pocket because that helps create a win-win for both parties." Right. So, in a nutshell, subject to is essentially just leaving the mortgage in place and having the buyer make payments toward that mortgage, essentially. So, I hope that was 5 minutes or less.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I know the audience is probably like, "Wait, what?" Go ahead, Corianne.
But that was also a really beautiful and simple way of explaining what is a pretty complicated process. And I would encourage anybody that wants to know more on the definition and the breakdown of that to go follow Richard. He's got his handle right there to explore those conversations, because I'm going to take it to 2.0 because I have questions, and people come to me all the time with questions that I can't answer quite often. And I think especially for the agent audience that's out there, they hear a sub 2 pitch, and let's say it's maybe not coming from somebody who's as knowledgeable as you, but they hear that sub 2 pitch and they go, "I'll lose my license. This is scary. I'm putting my seller at risk." How do you respond to those probably daily objections that you get?
Anybody want to take that one?
Go for it, Rich. Finish it up, Rich.
Yeah, good question. So on the settlement statement, there's a line item for subject to, right? So we be very clear that this is perfectly legal. We show them IRS documents, we show them settlement statements that show that subject to is perfectly legal, right? We do explain the risks of subject to, right? So we wouldn't be ethical if we didn't explain the risks of subject to, right? Subject to is a great strategy, but there's also a risk involved, and we're very transparent what those risks are. One of those risks is, of course, a due on sale clause, right? That is the biggest thing that most people are scared of, right? And what that means is basically if the bank sees that a title is transferred or the deed to the property is transferred to another party, and the loan is not paid off, then they can call the loan due, meaning get the full payment, full owed amount due in one lump sum, right? Within 30 days, typically within 30 days. So the chances of that happening is typically around 1%, less than 1% actually. Doesn't happen very often unless you take, unless there's some mistakes that you made. So we take a lot of precautions, right? We don't take over property subject to if it's a small bank, for example, or if there's reverse mortgage, and if there's a down payment assistance on the property as well. So these are precautions. Through our experience, we know what makes a good candidate for subject to and what doesn't. So we're very transparent with agents that we work with. We close deals with agents all the time. We closed a deal last month with an agent in Inglewood, California. So California, tough market, but we're still doing deals here. We created finance. You can do deals anywhere. It's much more versatile, right? Even as an agent, if you're an agent and you understand creative finance, you could be doing a lot more deals. We have an agent that we work with who's a high-end agent in Calabasas, Beverly Hills, those kind of areas, right? And he is very open to creative finance because he knows that it's a tough market, in the high price points, right? So if you can structure something creatively to make it work for both parties, everybody's happy, So to go back to your question, Corianne, we're very transparent with the agents, and we explain. We have attorneys that we work with as well. We kind of have a package, a credibility package of all the deals that we close. Attorney testimonials as well, them explaining what subject to is. So there's nothing better than having an attorney saying subject to is legal, So, yeah.
Well, that was a hot gem in regards to checking and seeing what bank holds the mortgage and staying away from maybe the small credit
Mhm.
banks and that kind of thing. I wouldn't think to look out for that, so wrote it
Yeah,
down.
that was good. And I want to
Yeah.
summarize too for the agent, because Corianne, you set it up, right? And one thing that I can assume if an agent's really listening to this is I myself do not actually do the creative financing, if you will. There's only so many hours in the day. So if, Richard and Mitch and even Oscar, and I want to get to Oscar with the assisted living as well, if there's something that these gentlemen are saying that are resonating with you and you go, I like these guys, they seem ethical, just kind of the basics. Do I know, like, and trust them? Do I want to do business with these guys? Like, that's just bare bones, what's next? So what I will do is I know enough to be dangerous. And so I'm encouraging, not right, but I'm encouraging the listener. I'm just listening through me, right? So I know enough to be dangerous, which means that I've educated myself enough in conversations with Richard, with Mitch, watching Pace Morby is the name. Pace Morby is really taken subject to, which is taking over a property subject to the loan in place. Or some creative would be if you have a client that has a property that's paid in full. So either of those two scenarios, we'll keep it simple. If you're listening and you're talking to a client and they are looking to get rid of a property, maybe it's a property that is an investment property for them. It's not their main house. Maybe it is their main house. And they don't actually need the money. They do not need to cash out. They do not need to cash out on that property and take all of their equity and then go off and buy something else, or worse, pay a lot of capital gains. So listen to this, agents, please. This is also an alternative to where you want to be the solutionist. Agents are really the front line. So we are talking mostly to sellers or other colleagues. And if you're listening and saying, and somebody has a problem in your office or a seller has an issue, you want to say, I may have a solution for you. It's called sub 2. It's subject to a loan in place. I've got a gentleman that I've listened to and worked with before. You can kind of fudge a little bit. I'm here to attest that I've worked with Richard and Mitch. They're fine. They're going to be your business partners. They're not going to let you fall. And you can literally hang up the phone and then connect with, Richard or Mitch specifically, because I know, Oscar, you're doing more assisted living, but, specifically for subject to, and say, hey, I kind of think I have this. I don't know. I feel like I'm in kindergarten about it. I sort of set it up. The seller's open to listening for payments over time. All you want to say is, hey, seller, are you open to payments over time? I can get you your $1 million. The market said that it's only going to give you $700,000. So, and you're tired of getting lowballed. This is languaging that agents are going to hear and say. You can say, I've got people that are going to pay your price, but we need to do it over time, and let them share with you what that looks like. Okay. Because we're just out here educating people. This conversation is not a one and done. It's at least 5, 6, 7 conversations that you might have with the seller just to get them educated. No one's making decisions. No one's stealing anyone's equity. No one's losing anyone's license. I just want to say for the record, like, slow down, agent. Okay. No one's trying to dupe anybody. Just slow down, get educated. And I will throw the broker under the bus for a minute, because the brokers will never educate you on this. The reason why they're never going to educate you on this, and I'll go on record saying it, is you can choose to run this through the brokerage or not, but the brokerage is not involved in your deal. You get an assignment fee, you get a fee. So it's not a commission. So the broker is never actually really technically involved in your deal. It's a thank you for bringing these two people together. So you can take with that what you want. You can run it through your brokers. You can do everything on the up and up. But I'm telling you that that's why the brokers don't have this conversation. But if you want to do more business and be more of service, this is a conversation to be had. Now, Richard, I don't necessarily want to get into in the weeds about the agent that you're working with, but it would be interesting if they're actually running it through the brokerage or not. I assert that because they're a high-end agent, they're probably at a high-end brokerage. So that's interesting. If anybody, can you say like 2 sentences about that, or you don't know? It's not your job.
Yeah, I mean, some agents are like, oh, I have to check with my broker, things like that. Other agents are okay with it, like they're, open to the conversation, and some even get a little bit fearful of doing a subject to deal because they're scared the broker won't, allow it to go through, things like that. So every agent is different, so you just kind of have to adapt to each agent individually, so. Yeah.
But what I would say to agents is make sure that you're educating yourself. Now, listen, again, this is me. I'm not going to say something popular. What else is new? But the brokers are there to support you. So you don't want to go against the broker. But what I encourage you as an agent is to get to know what this information is about, because this is not necessarily for dirty fixers. This can be for a house that's totally livable, and someone, for whatever reason, like I did a deal where a girl's mom got cancer. She lived in California. Mom got cancer in Florida. And this girl 100% was going to either bring a $30,000 check to the closing table. She only owned the house for 2 years, or the rents were not going to cover the mortgage. So either way, she was going to be essentially upside down in this, not upside down like a short sale, but upside down in this thing. And sub 2 was the only thing that saved her from either of those two scenarios, which was not good. She didn't make that much money. So where was she going to find 30 grand? So again, like, just kind of educate yourself along the way, and don't worry about the broker so much, because we're out here to solve problems. So that's my 2 cents on that. And
I heard a few pops out in the distance, and I'm pretty sure some brains exploded. I heard it. But I am always a proponent. This is one of our soapboxes here at Ask an Agent Anything, is that you bring more than just a paintbrush to the party when it comes to tools in your tool belt. And that's sort of the beauty of having Oscar, Mitch, and Richard here, is that you don't have to be the professional and how you use this complicated saw in regards to attacking a property that needs it. You just need to be able to ask the right questions to them and partner with them. And we're all about collaborating here, which you don't often see on the agent side in comparison to the investor side. But man, the more agents collaborate together and are willing to have those conversations with other people and say, hey, I don't know everything, but I want to bring more opportunity, the better we get for the people out there that need us. And that's just want to say that there. I'll get off the soapbox. We have a couple of really good questions, so I want to pull those up. It can't always be me and all my questions. Joelle from the sub 2 community said, from the conversation that was on Wholesale Hotline last night, they were talking to John Galan about Galan. Sorry, John Galan. On managing day-to-day and how do you delegate and add people to your teams. And this is the perfect question for a team here. Like, how did you figure out that you guys were the right people? And then how did you pull together and become a team? Probably for Mitch. I want to know Mitch's thoughts of this as the people person in the room.
You know, Rich and I met in the first month, and you know, we just it was like love at first sight. We just felt right with each other. We had the same mindset. We wanted to achieve the same thing. And then a couple of years later, we met Oscar. We felt the same thing. You just feel it. And we talked about, you know, what is our vision? What do we want to accomplish? But more importantly, what is our moral compass? Because as you know, real estate can be kind of a pretty tough business, a lot of knives and people taking advantage of each other. And at the end of the day, we share a lot of information, and you got to trust the people you're working with. You got to know that Oscar and Richard have my back when I'm not even there. I just got back from Italy for 3 weeks. I just give them my leads and say, take it, guys. I don't even think twice about it. And they feel the same about me. And for me, that is really the foundation of particularly real estate business, as you know, because it could be a tough business. You got to trust the people you work with. You got to like the people you work with and share the same vision of where you want to go. And we've always had that, and we've evolved. I mean, 4 years ago, we were not assisted living. We were not talking about development. We just wanted to knock on doors and close some deals and, you know, lobster and celebrate. Now, you know, we're getting more evolved in what we're doing as we tell the new people that come to us. As Rich said, new students will come to us and say, how do I get started? And we say, start at the beginning. Don't try and underwrite. Don't try and do step 4. And a lot of people, they have stage fright. They will not take step 1 unless they know step 2, 3, and 4 ahead. And we say, you know what? That's called education. Go take step 1, screw it up. That's how you do it. Go knock on doors. I started knocking on doors 4 years ago. It was great experience. You got to learn what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you love. And we're learning that even today, what we are good at, what we're not good at. As our business has evolved, we are learning and getting better at working on the business versus in the business. So we are creating systems and processes that replicate what we do so we can focus on growing the business, expanding it, working with more people, and spreading it. And that's really what we're looking to do.
Perfect answer.
Yeah, just to add on that real quick. I don't want to go too deep in this rabbit hole, but AI is going to help as well. AI, the question about delegating, right? So I'm trying to delegate a lot of work that we do that's repetitive and can be automated using AI. So I won't go too much into detail about that because that's a whole another topic. But yeah, I would prefer to have less humans on our team and more automated AI agents. So no disrespect to the humans.
Well,
I
this
love
is the
that.
direction it's going, right? So we got to get on board or jump off the ship. Corianne, did you have a quick question? I want to get to Joel's all of his questions, but I also want to bring Oscar back in for just because I'm minding the time. Can we bring him back in with assisted living, and then we can answer the questions at the end, even if we go over a little bit?
Yeah, that sounds
Awesome.
great. Let's jump into assisted living.
So, Oscar, say more about you doing assisted living or being an assisted living operator, because even I don't know the distinction, and it sounds like there is a distinction. What I can say is that the baby boomers, who are really more my parents, the baby boomers are one of the biggest transformation of wealth that we are ever going to see, and so a lot of those people, in fact, my father. And his wife. So my dad got remarried at 79. Imagine there's hope for all of us. He got remarried at 79 a couple years ago. He's 81 right now, and he's a fit 81. They're both in great shape. She's 10 years younger. And they just told me that because they were living in her space, my stepmother's wife, is Joan, which is a 3-level townhouse, and she'd owned it for 30 years. And neither of them are feeble, or the steps don't really bother them, but they're thinking ahead. And so just announced to me, they told me they were going to do this, but they just announced that they officially did this, is they sold the townhouse and they're actually moving into assisted living, but it's not yet assisted living, it's independent living.
Yes.
But usually a little bit of two in the same, kind of like two sides of the same coin, because obviously you go there so that if your health does start to deteriorate, you have help and support, and you're not waiting for the 11th hour. Anyway, please, take it away, because I'd love to hear not only your side of it, but also the bigger picture. Like your side, meaning is if somebody would like to get into this from a business perspective, how do they hitch their wagon to your wheel, all of that. And then kind of like the broad perspective, someone like me, who I don't actually necessarily want to do that, but I want to listen into maybe how can I be a part of the bigger picture to support the sellers that might be moving into these places, or if that's even a part of the conversation you're even in, if you're out there, that's the scope of the business.
So, I mean, I get this question all the time. How do I get into assisted living? And I always tell them before you even, I can tell you about the money. The money is great. The state pays you. You don't have to worry about evicting people. But I always tell them first, you got to look within yourself. You got to make sure that your heart is in it, because it's not real estate. It's no longer real estate. It's healthcare. I don't call myself a real estate entrepreneur. I'm a healthcare entrepreneur, because that is what I am in. That's what I'm cementing my feet in. It's not about the house. It's about the people. I care about the people that are living in the house. I care about the people that are taking care of the residents. That is where I invest my time and my money into. So yeah, that's the first thing. If you're doing it because your love and your heart is there to help people, then please, by all means, reach out to me, reach out to Mitch, and we can help you. But if you're just thinking about the money, then you can still get into it. If you already own a house, you could then lease it to an operator. You could do it that way. I just wouldn't suggest you yourself becoming an operator, because it's no longer just real estate. Now you're dealing with people and their families and all the type of disabilities that those people may have. You need to have a lot of patience, and you need to have a lot of love. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And that's the distinction, right? Because the operator is the operator of the business. And you said, if I just have a 5-bedroom house that's a 1 level, that, maybe this might be good to rent it to someone like yourself. So see, there's room for everybody, right, guys? Like, listen, you don't have to get into assisted living. You can call up Oscar and say, I have a house, with a lot of bedrooms here. I'd like to make money from this house. And that's it. And you just go, cool. Okay.
Yep. There's different capacities of how far you want to get into it, for sure. And the bigger picture, why it made sense for Richard and Mitch and I to do it, or to pivot into this, is because I have 8 years of healthcare So I know I have the love and a passion for that. And we all have a ton of years in real estate. So why not marry both of them together? I'm really good with people. We're really good with real estate. We're in California, where we want to make that monthly cash flow and not have to worry about evicting people. So then why not do this? And it was like a no-brainer. Once we thought about it, I was like, dude, why didn't we think about this before? And it's just, we're getting older. We don't want to be on the phones all day. We want to live life with our kids, with our families, and assisted living allows us to do that by bringing in that monthly cash flow and not really having to worry about landlord rules or laws here especially here in California.
Ooh, that was a nugget. So if you don't want to worry so much about the landlord laws, which of course all I announce myself is, oh, I'm from California, and people just immediately like rain down on their opinions, right? Especially the investor world. And so in short, because this is another section that you and I and Corianne could just talk about as well. I mean, I'm very interested in this subtext, of real estate, that there's some rules and regulations that get bypassed because it's not the same type of renters regulations. I'm keeping it very simple. It's not the same renters regulations. Is that what I heard you say?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so you can stay in California and still make money. You can stay in California and still make money. Yeah. Okay.
100%. And it's a high demand, just like you said. The baby boomer. So there's something called the silver tsunami. Make sure you guys write that down. Silver tsunami is coming. And there is a demand for assisted living facilities right now. But 2 years from now, there's going to be a even higher demand. So if you really want to get into it, I would suggest you do it now and not wait until 2 years from now, because it might be 2 years too late.
So I want to add something on there. Something that Oscar's saying is really important, and something, Renee, you started out with. People who are agents or want to get involved in real estate, you do not need to be a real estate investor and get 30 years of experience to be an investor or invested in real estate. You could be what's called a passive investor. You let people like Oscar or Rich or myself put the machinery together, and you simply invest your funds in there and get the cash flow without having to learn all the skills and deal with the calls at 3 a.m. So that's another thing to be mindful of, whether you're an agent or a civilian.
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Because we're essentially setting ourselves up for financial freedom. I mean, it's like all roads lead to buying your time back. That's a big quote that you hear on the internet a lot. Buying your time back, financial freedom, time freedom. These are things that were not even thrown around 5 or 10 years ago. But essentially, like what it would be, Mitch, is retirement, right? And it's that now it's at a younger age. Like people are looking to, how can I have my money work for me more and not be a stockbroker, right? And not do kind of like old boys club handshakes. Now it's really open to everyone. So that's why Corianne and I are doing this show, so that everybody can get a breadth of what is available to you. The internet really kicked this door open. And those of us that, are go-givers that want to have these conversations, because you can't know everything. And Mitch, you're right. So how about this? Don't get FOMO. Go make your money in the lane that best suits you at that time, and either go acquire people like an Oscar. Hey, come on my team, let's play. Or take your money and go invest it in, the Oscars, Richards, and Mitch of the world, which is what you're saying. And that's actually probably a lot easier than trying to be all of these things, which is what I see people do. And then they end up not doing much, because all of them are really full-time requirements, in my opinion.
It really is. And I used to invest a lot in the stock market. And then I got into real estate. And to me, real estate is so much more simple. You're buying a wood box on a piece of dirt. You can see it. Where if I buy stock or calls or options or puts, I don't know what's going on Wall Street. I don't know where my money is, but I can go to 23 Main Street and see my house and see the check that comes in every month. So it gives me a sense of ease every night, knowing that I'm buying something tangible that is there.
Okay, second grade level. I look smarter than I am. I want to know, okay, is it that Richard and Mitch, you guys are mostly focused on deal intake, evaluating whether or not you can take on a property? Then once you are, helping that seller out, whether that be sub-2 or whatever creative financing fits their specific mortgage, passing that off to Oscar to turn it into assisted living? Am I understanding it correctly? Walk me through it.
Yes. there's different types, whether it's single family, but basically, I guess you could look at 4 different components of our business. And this is true for an agent's business. There's lead generation, developing a source of leads. Then when we get the lead, we do what's called underwriting, which we look at the lead, and basically it's a fancy word for problem solving. How do we solve that particular seller's problem? Then once we do that, we provide them with options and solutions. Then we close the deal. Every agent knows what that means. And then the 4th part is disposition. How do we exit that? Are we going to hold it and cash flow it? Or are we going to assign that deal to someone else to make money? And I guess you could say there's a 5th part, which would be marketing. But those 4 that I just outlined are the main components of any real estate business.
Mm.
Very simple.
It gets me excited. I really appreciate that walkthrough, because one, that's for me and for everybody else who's like, yeah, but how does this all slot together? And in a lot of ways, it makes me excited what you're saying, Oscar, because I'm an artist. I originally started as a painter. I ran a gallery. I was a professor. And it took me a long time to get okay with that self also being a real estate professional and what an artist would term a capitalist. And so I was trying to like bring those things together and be like, what am I? And anytime I can find somebody who's taken a passion for life or a passion for people and taken that into real estate, it gets me excited, because real estate really is for everyone. There is a aspect where you can approach it and use it to make money. And it does not matter if you're a healthcare professional or an artist. It's all about how can you really slot yourself in, make some money, but also help people. So thank you for like
100%. It's you can make your own space. You know, there's so much. Make your own space. Lean on what you're good at. Like me. I learned how to be good with people and connect with people because of the military. I joined when I was 18, and I connected with people that couldn't even speak English with, you know, and that was in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I learned how to connect with them, even body language. I even know, I know sign language, you know, so it's just like,
Oscar's very humble. He's badass. Don't tell him I said this, though.
It's like just lean into what you know and surround yourself with people that compliment you. And I mean, anything's possible. You know, anything's possible. So yeah.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Guys, this has been such a good conversation, and we only have a few minutes left, but we've got some good questions in the chat. So are you guys ready to do some like rapid fire answers? Yeah. I want to start with Yoli, because it's taking it back to a question that I asked earlier, but I asked it agent specific. She's asking more, what objections do you receive from sellers when you're pitching this substitute model? Is it legal?
That's one of the biggest
ones. I need all my equity.
Yeah, that.
I don't want to have a mortgage in my name.
Yeah, that one.
That's a big one.
Here's one we get that's incorrect. I don't want a mortgage in my name because how am I going to get another house with another mortgage? And they believe that you can only have one mortgage, which is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you often have to just take a step back and do you come, or I guess, already ready with these answers, or do you wait for the objection and then stop it?
Yeah, we wait to see what their concerns are, and we will address each one as they're raised and address them right on. And like I said at the beginning, sometimes we are not the right solution for everyone. So for example, let's say Renee is selling her property. It has no mortgage. It's free and clear, but she wants 100% of her equity for whatever reason. She's going to travel, and we would not be the right for her. She needs all of her equity out. Now, we might say something like, well, what if you did a cash out refi? Now you get all your equity out tax free, and we take over that loan sub two. And she'll say, I never thought about that. So a lot of creative things we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add on the, whether the agent asks about concerns or do we just bring it up first? We actually send out a credibility package with our office. And in that credibility package, it has a breakdown of what subject 2 is, what is seller financing, and it also has a frequently asked questions as well. So they can review that before they even speak to us about the actual offer that we presented. So we're kind of very transparent. I think it's very important to be transparent because you don't want to go in escrow and then they're like, oh, you didn't tell me this, you didn't tell me that, and then it blows up the deal. So I would rather have all the information in front of them first, and if they have questions, we can adjust it at that point, rather than it be a surprise for them. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's
I feel like
where,
that answers this question in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go ahead, Renee.
No, I was going to say that's the part, guys, where you want to take on that incentive for yourself, right? This is not a passive approach to creating wealth for yourself. If you've got a question, look it up. You want to obviously be respectful of everybody's time. This is not a hot potato to, Richard or Mitch and Oscar, like, oh, well, what's this, 101 question? No, go look it up on YouTube first, get yourself educated, and then bring all your frequently asked questions that you might have. Because when you show incentive to someone, when you're asking them of their time, they're more than likely to help you. But if you're showing that you haven't actually taken the steps to learn the basics, not such a good move. So just please, rewatch this a couple of times. I think it's going to start to answer and bring up some questions for you. So you can better go into depth about what this type of lane is regarding real estate. Go ahead for the next question.
Well, this one was mostly answered, so I think I'll pop off to Joel's next question, because really the transparency aspect of here's the packet and here's the process changes the game when you're getting into these creative things. And that's exactly what you would do here with an agent, is present that packet and be like, hey, here's the process. Is this something that actually fits your seller? Next question is, what about getting brokers and agents on a conference call and helping them both understand? Do you utilize that often?
All the time. I think that's the best thing to do, actually. That is the best thing to do, because you have both of them there. You get to answer their questions. And what I like to do, I know creative finance works, but they don't, right? So I don't go into that conference call with that type of mindset. I go into that conference call in the mindset of, this is going to be an educational conversation. I'm going to educate them on how I feel and know that subject to, or whatever we're talking about, can fit the listing that they have and how I want to purchase it. And then at the end of the day, if they still don't like it, then that's on them. But at least I educated them on it. And I show them that I can do it and that I'm well versed in it. But I think that's the best thing to do, is to get, whether it be the broker or the agent or even their client, all on a call, and then just have a conversation. So then all you guys are on the same page and everyone's asking all the questions live. And it's just, it builds your credibility as an investor 100%.
And that's what I do.
I've had,
as an agent, I've gone on a Zoom just like this. I'm not trying to be everything to all people, but these are my partners, if you will. So you got to pick your people. Remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's your homework assignment. Maybe this group isn't for you for whatever reason. I wouldn't attest to that, but maybe they aren't. So fine, go find other people that understand this. And then those are going to be your people, and those are going to be your go-tos to say, when we get on a Zoom or we get on a 3-way call, that with confidence that you can essentially hand this off. It's like a little baby, right? How much time and effort have you put into at least establishing this relationship that maybe you don't know anything about, but now you're going to hand it off, and it's okay. You want to know that. Again, guys, I do that. I don't know this world like the back of my hand. There's too much to know every day. So, but I surround myself with people that do, and then, we do business. That's all good.
And then
also we do presentations in brokerages offices as well. So a lot of brokers and agents are not educated on creative finance, which we've been talking about throughout this presentation or this podcast. So instead of educating one agent, one broker at a time through each phone call, we tend to offer to do consulting and offer to do presentations in the office. That way we can present to 40, 50 agents at a time, and it spreads like wildfire. It's like word of mouth. So they're like, oh, you hear about Mitch talking about creative finance, that kind of thing, so and so. And it starts spreading around, and then agents become more open to it, especially under the same brokerage, right? So a few of us here have spoken at different brokerage offices, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback. So if anybody wants us to come into the office, we're happy to present as well.
Beautiful.
That's a huge gem, because that's exactly what I was going to say, is there's nothing better than having an agent that's like, this is illegal. You're going to have to talk to my broker. Getting them on the phone together and their broker goes, oh, this all makes sense. And then you can feel them melt into like, oh, okay. Like you just see the wall disappear. And I can only imagine like, that's like going to the triple head of the snake in terms of just walking into the brokerage and being like, hey, I don't have to deal with all of these agents. Let me talk to the broker about what we supply. Because if you end up with an issue property, guess who's going to know about it? The broker. So it's sort of a win-win-win gem. And then because we also want to be aware of your guys' time, you've given us so much. This has been amazing. I think we go out with an all-time favorite question here, which is true or false? Is it easier to make a 100K deal over a 10K deal? What is each one of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I kind of share my answer. I want to hear Oscar and Richard's thoughts, but I'll share my answer in the chat. I think the process is the same. So I think it's false. I think it's easier. I'm sorry. I think it's just as easy to make 100K as it is to make 10K. It's just a matter of your marketing, right? How do you market to high-end properties? Do you market to, middle class, lower-end properties? There's more volume. There's more opportunity in the 10K deals. But as far as easy, the process is the same. It's just different type of marketing.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Roscoe. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say that the process is the same, but I think emotionally, it's more taxing getting a 10K deal. If it's your first 10K deal, I think that's more emotionally taxing than anything else. But as far as the process goes, I think it's identical. It's identical. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think a lot of people are afraid to go after the $100,000 deals because, oh, it's $1 million or a $3 million property. So it's scary. And I'll just stay in the $200,000 range. And if you're staying in the $200,000 range, you're not going to make $100,000. But if you're doing a 3 or a 4 or a $10 million property and you're adding a lot of value, it's the same exact process. It's the same solution. It's not like we have different solutions for $10 million properties as we do 100,000. We're doing one right now. It's assisted living. It's a multi-million-dollar property. It's the same exact thing that we're doing. So for us, I'd rather focus on the bigger ones. We're solving bigger problems and getting paid for it and bringing our realtor partners with us.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to be said about that. Brilliant. I love that. Yeah. Know your audience, guys. If you're not comfortable yet jumping in the deep end, then hitch your wagon to a wheel. And that's how you learn. And make sure that you give and not take. Don't hitch a wagon to a wheel just to learn, and then not be there and just, well, a year later, 6 months later, I'm out. No, like have an agreement that you're going to give back. But that's how you learn. I remember my first deal like it was yesterday, and I've done all different kinds of deals. I've done $200,000 deals 45 minutes away from LA, and I've done, in the heart of this Beverly Hills, right? It is kind of all the same, but you need to know the basics first. So that I will say sometimes it's easier to work out the basics first, a little bit lower end, because maybe they don't have as much of an expectation or whatever you've got in your head, but it's enough out there for everybody. And just go and be of service and learn as you go and be humble in the process. It doesn't really matter who technically you're serving. If you come at it from that, people that are multimillionaires will feel it. People that have $100,000 house will feel it. And you got to check yourself about why you're in this business, because it's not just transactional. You will not have longevity if you just treat this business as transactional. You must treat it as what the business is, which is a people business. It's a relationship-based business.
Yep.
So says the person almost
and
19 years later. So with that,
I want to just direct this question to Richard as on our way out. What are you looking for in your company? What kind of leads or deals or people would you like to partner with, and how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, great question. So right now we're kind of focusing on group homes and assisted living. So our buy box is single family homes that are 4+ bedroom, 2+ bathrooms, single story in Southern California, San Antonio, primary markets right now. We do have partnerships in other markets in Florida, Texas, major markets in Texas, and Las Vegas and Phoenix. So that's kind of our buy box. Also, any existing assisted living facility, whether it be 100 units, 100 beds, 200 beds, whatever. We are also buying existing assisted living properties. We're actually working on an offer right now. Seems like it's getting accepted for a 40 bed in the Valley. So it's creative finance, 10% down. So that's a pretty good deal. So hopefully it works out. Hopefully next time we're back in the podcast, we'll talk about the deal. But yes. that's what we're looking for as far as buying a buy box. As far as working with us, we are open to JVing. So if we have any leads that you're working on, feel free to reach out. We help with underwriting. We help with acquisition dispositions. We even educate you on creative finance as well, but preferably over a lead that you have. Our time is very limited, right? So we want to work on deals together with you guys. And lastly, we are working on a program where we will provide a list to people who want to learn how to get into real estate or want to learn how to do creative finance deals. We'll provide a list of people closures or agents to call, and you will send those leads to us. Any one lead that you get, you'll send to us, and we'll hold your hand to the finish line. So we also provide training as well. So we have recorded training, all that kind of stuff on creative finance and how to talk to sellers, agents. So it's kind of like a mentorship in its own, in a sense. So we have that coming up. So feel free to reach out to me or Oscar or Mitch. We have an Instagram handle, Creative Investors, which I'll type it in chat. And also my Instagram handle, I actually made a mistake. It's Richard Knowles, there's no E. I asked the person who had Richard Knowles if he would mind if I can have it. He let me have it. So I got the E removed. So I'll update it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
We'll make sure it's also in our description so that you can go find Richard. We'll put it down there. And guys, this is awesome. Thank you. We're going to have you come back because we just skimmed the surface of the things we could talk about.
Amen.
Let's go.
Any parting words, Renee, on our way out?
You know what? Stay humble, stay open, stay humble, guys. I learned so much from this call. I don't know everything. I know I told you about the years I've been in real estate. Don't let that scare you either. Sometimes not knowing is also just as good as knowing. So with that, in the in-between, in the gray area of maybe not knowing so much and being around for a minute, that you stay open, stay humble, and always be learning and always connect yourself to people that you resonate with, that you can collaborate or partner with, because there's just so much to know. Real estate has become more complicated in the time I've been in. And so there's just not enough time. And so you want to do business with people that you know, like, and trust so that you can be of service and, bring value to the world. That's my parting words. Thank you, gentlemen. I so appreciate you both being here. Anybody have anything else to say before we log off? Oh, we got a silence.
Lead with love.
All right.
Lead with love.
Lead with love.
Right.
That's beautiful. I love it. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully you guys got something. Put something in the chat. Smash the like button, the fire button, the money bag button, or the emoji, whatever they call them. The kids are calling them. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Happy 4th of July. It was a little bit of a thinner crowd, but it's okay. You guys are out having barbecues. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Happy 4th, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.